So Kramer, you're on the under 9.5 wins. What else is jumping out at you for this Houston Texans team?
Well, I want to bring something up because
Sure.
we all often discuss compare markets. Will Anderson and Munaf, how do you pronounce it? Is it Danielle Hunter or Danielle Hunter?
I've heard it both ways. I think
Okay.
it's majority I've seen Danielle Hunter.
All right. 35-1 for Hunter to win Defensive Player of the Year. 20-1 for Anderson to win Defensive Player of the Year. But we hop over to the most sacks market. Hunter 15-1 to have the most sacks. Will Anderson 40-1 to have the most sacks.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to take a sprinkle on Will Anderson most sacks at 40-1.
What that seems like what you do with that kind of information. I guess I understand him coming off Defensive Rookie of the Year. Like it's a little easier to get behind a narrative based thing. But I didn't quite understand the pricing difference, because if you feel that way about Hunter, obviously he's taking action. That's why his price is down there. Why are we not also playing the Defensive Player of the Year for Hunter at 35-1? Yeah. Meanwhile, as far as the Anderson, I don't know. I don't know what I like better. You're probably right to take the sacks, because you probably need sacks to win Defensive Player of the Year, and you can probably get the most sacks and still lose to a guy like TJ Watt.
Yeah, I'll take the most sacks at 40-1. It's a fun, and I wouldn't be surprised if Houston's playing in front in some of these games. I think the 10-7 is probably them not being as fortunate in some of these close games. Maybe a couple turnovers not going their way late. Like we see this all the time, where just the shit balances out to some degree. The +10 turnover differential, to me, is the biggest reason to be a little sour on them. Not completely out on them, but I think it will have an impact on their ceiling, at least in my mind.
Yes.
Any other futures jumping out at you, Ryan?
Well, yeah, I'm going to continue down.
Sure.
You just mentioned some turnover regression. CJ Stroud certainly going to be slinging the rock this year. Is it possible that we end up in a season where if the defense maybe isn't as great, where CJ Stroud is up there in attempts in the league? He had a lot of games last year. If you look at his game log, where he, 44 starting off the season, actually 44, 47 attempts. And then they kind of went to run the ball. And then CJ Stroud said, "Hey, I want to throw the ball more." And then it was 42, 39, 37, 36. Anyway, you get the point. Most interceptions, 40-1. Put me down.
Wow.
His interception rate was incredibly low last year. We saw what he is capable of in that Arizona game when he went for 3 interceptions. Again, if things are a little bit more volatile on the defensive side of the ball, he's being relied on a little bit more. And to your point, you get a alpha receiver chirping at you on the sideline, like, "Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball." All right. I mean, no, you're not going to co-sign that one with me.
No, I mean, I see the case. Yeah, just a no for me. I think. I think he's gonna have more than 5, but I don't think he's gonna have. Like, the guy to me seems too smart, as far at the quarterback position, to throw that many interceptions.
But he didn't do well on that cognitive test, Sean.
Yeah, and the guy basically put a test out of business. Like CJ Stroud, the fact that he did bad on that test. Did you hear anyone mention the S2 test in this past draft class? It's like, no, because CJ Stroud had such a good year and made that test look so shitty. They stopped mentioning it.
Some people are just aren't good at taking tests.
Yeah. Also, maybe an overreaction. I mean, there wasn't a problem with this test until CJ Stroud and Bryce Young came along, and it was just, I would. So looking last year, 14th in attempts, CJ Stroud, and he only played 15 games, so he certainly has
the volume 100%. What, Ryan? You've had some optimism about Joe Mixon. Kind of being interesting. Is there any Joe Mixon most rush yards?
Keep going down the list.
What do you got?
We've talked about it before, but the Joe Mixon rush touchdowns. I think if you're going to play into a market, it's the Shanahan rushing scheme. Bobby Slowick rolling it out. Joe Mixon certainly going to be the goal line guy. Maybe they do rely on the run more. Certainly contradicts what I was saying about the interceptions a little bit, but I do like the idea of Joe Mixon in this offense. We haven't discussed it a bunch. Whether or not he can stay healthy, I don't know, but you can play the ceiling case. I also would not mess around with yards with him. If I'm doing anything with him, it's like, let's bank on maybe a 5 touchdown game. Remember that head-to-head Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley action I had with Justin Wood from
yes.
Tune into the Bengals pod. I think it's gonna be on Sunday or Monday morning. But yeah, just 5 touchdown game. Maybe you get a little bit lucky there, and then also you're gonna want to hop over and if you can gain access to the division specials, Sean.
Yeah,
we've been hammering those.
But most rushing yards in the division,
they don't have the. What I was going to say is they don't have the touchdown market.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not playing yards markets because he's plus 280 compared to Jonathan Taylor minus 135.
I don't like that. I mean, 25 to 1's way more fun. But to your point, I see Mixon more as a touchdowns guy. But
I have like 4 or 5 most rushing touchdown bets, and I think he might be the shortest price.
Yeah, I think we've done a decent job, I think, of identifying. Hey,
take that back. Breece Hall is the shortest price.
This guy is going to get a ton of the inside the 5 carries, and I just don't see who else they're going to be pounding. Easy in the chat tossing out Texans most team sacks 17 to 1. How
nice.
say you, Munaf? Is that something you're hopping on?
Yeah, I think obviously when you're led by D'Amico Ryans as a defensive minded head coach, you mentioned the 2 guys that you guys like, right? Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. Those guys rack up the sacks, and you have other guys that can definitely contribute to that sack total as a team. So I think that's a great look at 17 to 1. I think a lot of the focus this season should be on the defensive side for the Texans because they have, all the guys on the offensive side for this team. But if they're going to win ball games, it's going to have to be on the defensive side. So I think for for those 2 guys and getting out contributions from other guys, I think that's a great bet at 17 to 1 for this team.
Yeah, I'm added that to my sheet.
Last year they had 46 sacks.
What was the leader?
In the 17 games. The leader was 60, but we handicapped this a bit when we were talking about Saxonville, and generally you're going to target around 54 to 57 in the range of like if you can access that ceiling, then you have a chance to win. Last year, Ravens 60, Chiefs 57, Dolphins 56, which people don't exactly remember them as a team.
No, that's crazy.
Bills 54, Colts 51. So top 5 already got down to 51 sacks, 46 last year for the Texans. I would co-sign that. I would play that over identifying a player, I think. Because I do.
Yeah, you know what? Now that I see that's that price, I will. Yeah, Will Anderson most sacks. I'll replace it with the Texans most.
Because you can scoop that. You can. I mean, the Ravens didn't have a Defensive Player of the Year award candidate. I know they had. I mean, maybe he got a 5th place vote or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the idea that the team can collectively do it seems more reasonable to me than one of those guys standing up and outdoing like a Max Crosby or a Bosa or a TJ Watt.
Yeah, I like the 17 to 1. I'll add it to my card. Are you co-signing that, Ryan?
Yeah, that's the angle I would.
Okay. Munaf, what do you got futures wise? What do you like? What do you not like? It's tough for me to touch any of the receivers, even though I am a bit of a Diggs hater. Like, I don't know. I think you're kind of playing with fire, and even the long shot stuff like Tank Dell to lead the division in receiving yards. It's not quite high enough to be interesting. What are you doing
really,
here?
There's nothing fun.
Munaf.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Stefon Diggs, right? I mean, it's a little bit square, but his number only being at 900.5 as receiving yards, kind of being in a contract year. I mean, essentially it is a contract year because he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. And those are the type of guys you want to take the overs on their player props for season long, at least. But he's had 6 straight seasons where he's gone over this number. I understand that he was the number 1 target with Minnesota and then with Buffalo. And you have Nico Collins. You guys mentioned Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz should have more targets in this offense as well. But for a guy that we know that can, catch those deep passes, make even short passes to create that separation and get down the field, I think that it's in the realm of possibility again, 100%, not 100%, but more likely than not that Stefon Diggs gets over 900.5 receiving yards for this Texans offense.
I like how you have it as 100%. So lockdown Munaf's 100% play. Stefon Diggs over 900.5 receiving yards.
And he's gone over this number 7 out of the 9 seasons in his career. So I mean,
for my underdog play, I'll go because I think you can get this. He can get this in a number of scenarios. CJ Stroud higher 4,200.5 passing yards. If they
that.
What's up?
I said I'll book that.
You don't think he's getting the passing yards? Because I think even if even if you're right, Ryan, and they are struggling a little bit, I think them playing from behind would even increase their pass rate over expectation.
Him playing the whole season, passing. I mean, but like last year there definitely were some big games in there, and I think there's
he got to 4108 in 15 games.
15 games.
So
yeah.
I like his chances 4,200 and a half.
470 yard, 5 touchdown game in there. So I mean, which did happen, but some outliers. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it. What's your underdog play, Ryan?
I don't want to throw shade at the guest, so I'll go to the backup play.
Oh, were you going to take the Steph Diggs lower?
Yeah, but we'll move on. I'll say something positive. Dalton Schultz, give me the touchdown market. It's 3.5. This is still a Shanahanian offensive scheme, and there's nothing they like more than using the tight end around the red zone. Last year he had 5 touchdowns. Year before with Dallas he had 5. Year before that he had 8. Hard to see him going down beneath 3.5. Certainly will be one of the targets in the red zone, even though they brought in Diggs, and even though maybe Tank Dell stays. I like how everyone's like, this year Tank Dell is going to crush it when he stays healthy. It's like, he is a small guy.
Yeah.
Like like we
and that's why I was gonna
7-on-7 crazy.
I was gonna consider. He's like 5'8". I mean, I could probably block Tank Dell. Actually, I could 100%.
I don't know if you saw the viral video of the speedster Worthy over on Kansas City just getting jacked up in like press coverage by a safety. It was just like, oh no. Yeah,
people forget that yes, they have certainly relax the rules on how much you can hit, or tighten the rules on how much you can hit, but
you can still hit.
These guys still get a little get chucked around there. Yeah, and the Tank Dell, like him staying healthy and has a crazy upside season, like the price isn't juicy enough for me to even get in there. Munaf, you got a underdog season long you like for Texans here?
I mean, as much as I hate being a pessimistic, I think you guys are correct about the turnover luck that the Texans and CJ Stroud had last season. I know we were talking offline about it. Like the first 5 games, no interceptions for CJ Stroud. The last 5 games, no interceptions. He had that one game where he did throw 3. If they are going to be pass happy, and look, if Joe Mixon does get hurt, there's still question marks about the depth for this Texans the running back room, right? From what I'm reading and everything that I've saw out of training camp and practice, Cam Akers could be that second guy, and we know his fumbling issues. So we might see a little bit of more pass happy offense. The attempts are going to be there for CJ Stroud. I would go higher, unfortunately, on his interceptions.
CJ Stroud, what do you see his number at, or are you just saying in general?
I think just in general, but let me see.
Dun, dun, dun. I think they got his number at like
11 or no?
Sorry,
I think it's like 9.5.
Yeah, it's low. It's because I mean that's how you can get that 40-1 price.
Yeah, it's got to be what 8.5 interceptions.
Yeah, let me see. I think
also, shout out to Swagger Hound in the chat pointing out Cade Stover getting some looks. I've been hearing a little Cade Stover buzz, Ryan. Cade Stover first touchdown will be on my list 100%.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, again, if you're not looking at a depth chart and familiarizing yourself with the 3rd string, the 4th, I mean, who can forget Quentin Tarantino down there, the 4th string tight end. Dalton Keene is on this team still, former Hokie, who kind of more of a move tight end. Certainly would like the kind of guy that fits into this scheme if he makes the team.
Cade Stover getting some red zone looks. But Brevin Stover, honestly, touchdown.
The guy you need, like Brevin Jordan, is the guy on this team. That's like the Isaiah Likely option. A lot of good tight ends on this team, though. It's very, very fun team to analyze the tight ends. And you got a fullback, Andrew Beck. So familiarize yourself with all these blocking touchdown hounds.
Yeah, those are the guys that you get the sweet juicy odds and still have a shot to come in and hit. Taking a look here at the records, I'm the only believer in the Texans at 10-7. Just got them over. Munaf and Kramer got them 9-8. I like CJ Stroud higher passing yards. Dalton Schultz higher 3.5 receiving touchdowns for Kramer. Munaf hating on his own team. Higher 9.5 interceptions. He does like Stefon Diggs over 900.5 receiving yards. Texans most sacks. We all like courtesy of Easy in the chat. That's a fun play. And yeah, so no. You don't think at 9-8 do they make the playoffs, Munaf?
It's 9-8. We're winning the Super Bowl, guys. Come on, I know how it goes.
All right, now he's changing his tune.
There was a team from New York that once made the playoffs as a wild card with only 9 wins and went on to defeat one of the greatest franchise in the history of football.
Who was it?
That
Ryan?
was the Giants.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
different team. It reminds me of that a little. I could see how that could. Although Eli was clearly a better quarterback than CJ Stroud.
Wow, shots fired.
One's in the Hall of Fame soon.